7:03, we had everybody.
Okay.
And actually, so Beth has been taking minutes. Would someone be willing to take minutes? Is anybody, you got it, Jennifer? Thank you.
Jennifer has been. Yeah.
Great, thank you. So why don't I go ahead and I'll share screen. And then we'll start going through. So I think this was the latest version that we were working on.
This is the version that Carl put together. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. All right. All right, so let's just start running through.
Wait a minute, I mean, why are we working on this version? I thought that this was assigned to rework them. She did, and she sent it out to everyone.
Yep, so we will look, we're in ones where there's been a markup. We can look at that, we'll start with this one, and then if there's a rewording proposed in the markup, we can look at that and see if we want to pull that in, we can vote on either one. Let's see if I can.
I have a printout. If you wanted to compare wording.
Yep. Yeah, and I can share that one on the screen as I think I'll be able to switch back and forth on those.
I mean, does anyone have an objection to Alyssa's wording? And we could just work from that one, we don't have to argue back and forth?
I think the challenge for me is we got into it a little bit. It was more than wordsmithing. It was combining a handful of them and some pretty dramatic changes. And this is a list that has been sort of generated by the group over months. Trying to get it up. Does everybody have Alyssa's list handy?
Yes, I do.
Yep.
I do.
Okay, great. So we'll keep this one on the screen and then we can refer to Alyssa's. So number one, continue the implementation of the APOD. Alyssa's rewrite, support the deployment and maintenance of Sentinel APODs.
So one, I had the correct name for what they're called, and the town, as I said, there's a CPC application for acquisition and the deployment and the maintenance contract for the Sentinel APODs, which will be a little bit different from the APOD that are out there right now. And it's not a proactive measure for cyanobacteria bloom. It's just, it's to control it. It's not proactive. So it's just, I think we ought to support the deployment and maintenance of the Sentinel APODs.
Okay, so I'm not familiar with the difference between the APOD and Sentinel APOD, but Alyssa, I do like I think your language is broader. So I would propose just support the deployment and maintenance of the APODs.
Yeah, I'm good with that too. I guess, I don't, Sentinel, I only know Sentinel used it with medical. I don't know what that means. But we don't need to spend a lot of time on it, so it's, if you wanna just, say APODs, let's go.
So let's vote on that. Alyssa's number one, just taking out the word Sentinel. All those in favor?
I'm in favor.
Hi.
Number
So
two,
was that all five of us?
I believe so, yeah.
I'm not sure what, so you're taking out Sentinel?
Yes, just keeping it APODs.
Is Sentinel more specific about what the town is actually doing?
It is, but I mean, then what they're proposing to purchase 2 Sentinel APODs, which are just slightly different.
Why
types
take
of
Sentinel out?
Yeah, but Sentinel, I don't think it's a problem.
John, we're doing a minute on each of these, right? Because if down the line, if there's a different type, I don't know what the word Sentinel is. This is the first I've heard of it, so I'm just learning that. So if down the line, there's a different model or something that should go out there, then I don't want to restrict our language here with a specific product name. The APODs have been working. We like those. We're recommending keeping the APODs.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not exactly what was there before. It's the same technology.
Terrific. Number two. Continue testing water quality to assess swimming safety. Let's see.
Yeah, I don't see it on your list.
Yeah,
Is
was that
on your list?
So my version is support continued Board of Health bacteria testing to assess swimming safety for 2024 with annual reevaluation of the testing program by the Department of Planning and Land Management. This is after a conversation I had with Melanie Deneen about what they're doing and why they're doing it and the resources they have to do it. There is a lot of speculation as to whether the cyanobacteria testing and which portion of it that they're doing in the cyanotoxin testing is relevant. So this is a sentence I came up with her support.
okay? So again, I think personally, I like the original one. I find it broader. And again, this is a recommendation sort of high level priorities to the town, the way I'm seeing this, as opposed to sort of specific tactics. I think this is something we want to put on the radar, something to keep an eye on, and then exactly how that's done, that's sort of up for the folks who are going to own that process going forward. So I would recommend we vote on number 2 as written in the original list. So continue testing of water quality to assess swimming safety. All those in favor?
We're good.
All those opposed?
Me.
And abstained? Okay, so we have 3-2 on that. And number 3, provide permanent ranger for Satan Cove area from May through September, focus on preventing dog human swimming, litter, alcohol, beach fires, parking violations. So Alyssa, I think yours is even a little bit, it's it's
Support continued funding of the Conservation Ranger Program focused on compliance with the town's conservation land regulations with increased ranger and/or police time at Sachem's Cove on hot summer weekend days. Said I thought the word permanent was quite confusing, and I still don't understand what it means. I don't think, and I think what we were really talking about, what they do is ensure compliance with the town's conservation land regulations particularly at Sachem's Cove, a portion of which is under the management, direct management of the Conservation Department, and the other portion of it, which is owned by the Select Board, it's been given a delegation for the authority and management of it to the Conservation Department, so they are managing it in conformance with their land use regulation policy. I added actually the word state police, because at the request of Delia Kay, who said she would find it very difficult, if not completely untenable, to have, to be able to staff it on both Saturday and Sundays.
Um,
I mean, you live on the, I don't get over there, but I mean, is it busy during the week? Is it just the weekends or what? I mean, you think
it's
limiting the weekends is too limiting too much or?
certainly primarily weekends from my observations. Um, but other days as well. So Alyssa, I like a lot of the wording you have in there. Just trying to see, is there a way, is there anything that's missing, in my opinion?
So the police is to support the ranger, basically, is what we're saying.
Yeah, and when a ranger may not be available. Because a ranger is said basically, just for staffing purposes, it's very.
You know,
hard.
we asked them for continued funding or increased funding, there's a lot more time there.
I would say, I would like to see increased, and I think the survey results also indicated public support for that.
Yeah, I mean, should we just say support
Oh.
funding, right? Here's the types of things we want to have, which is the increased ranger and or police time. Particularly on the hot summer weekend days, I think just support funding, and that can either be, that sort of implies appropriate levels of funding. So whether it's increased or continued, as long as I think what we've been saying is we need more of a presence there on hot days, right? And having just someone there, guaranteed they're not going to be there on any Sundays. So I think Alyssa's wording, and I may, if people want to say continue to increase, I'd probably just take that word out and just go with Alyssa's wording. Support funding of the conservation program, ranger program, focus on compliance with the town's conservation land regulations with increased ranger and or police time at Stations Cove on hot summer weekend days.
Yeah, and the reason for that is because all of the things we listed, litter, alcohol, fires, and so on, are part of the regulations, so we don't need to spell them out.
And are more inclusive, and it talks about, it gets more specific in terms of what's allowed and what's not allowed.
Yeah, and I would think, this is sort of the tagline recommendation, and then within the report, there can be some supporting narrative where maybe we lift out some specifics.
Okay, I think that's a good plan.
Okay. So proposing vote on Alyssa's number 3, taking out the word continued. All in favor? All right,
I'm good.
and opposed? All right. 5-0 on that one. Number 4. Enforce parking laws on state access road.
I don't have that at all because the Concord Police have no authority on that road. And the state police, the state ramp people are actually interested in having people fish in the pond. So I don't know what their
It doesn't
feelings are
limit
on
people
it,
to
but
a
they're
fish,
certainly
it
not
just
an active.
limits the amount of people that are parking there illegally.
Yeah, but the Concord Police are not going to enforce the parking situation on the state access road. And there is no, they have no ability to enforce the parking laws on that state access road.
Are you sure about that?
Yes. I didn't talk to the police, but Don't know who I talked to about
Well, then
that.
we need somebody to enforce it, so if it's somebody
Well-
else that's responsible.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
so
not, it's like a public road. There's nothing, I know there are marked spaces, but there's nothing that says you can't, you know, that who's going to enforce it? I mean, there is no body to enforce enforce
I'm
it.
not, we're not
There's
getting
nothing
into
that
that
says it
detail.
to
We
be
should get into the
enforced.
detail of what
And there's
we're
no
recommending.
and I don't even know the reason that you would want to consider enforcing
Because
it.
it's overpopulated, folks, all kinds of erosion, all kinds of,
Well,
trampled-
it's not eroding now.
Yeah, yes, it
We
is.
have this beautiful new asphalt road with
No, no,
stormwater
no, no,
controls.
no, the whole area is over occupied with people swimming. You guys see Sakems Cove, I see that, it's tons of people there in the summer that are illegally there and, you know, place is totally jammed, totally a mess. So it's an equal problem with the Sakems Cove, just it's that location, and the way to deal with it is to reduce the amount of parking there.
Well, this is not a way to do it. So what I had suggested was that they consider during the summer beach season, adding staff to the parking lot to encourage use of the town beach lot rather than the state boat ramp and other town-owned parcels. Which is something that was legally there.
That's a separate thing, whether the parking is gonna be checked at the entrance to the parking lot versus at the beach. Those are two things that limit the amount of folks at the end of the state road.
Yeah, so I see it as a sort of a, hey, here's a select board, here's an issue we've identified, and then tactical how to address it is something else.
I don't see it as an issue.
I can't imagine that if that road was filled up with cars to the point where you couldn't get emergency vehicles down there, that
It
somebody
is not
wouldn't
an
come.
emergency access. It is not, it was never intended to be an emergency access and it is not an emergency access.
Okay, enough discussion. What do we want to do here? Wanna
Um,
vote on it?
so I would even like to say, you know, 'cause I think it goes there and it goes to the road at the end of Dover Street that leads into the Sachem's Cove area. And the surrounding neighborhoods as well, that some are posted for parking, some are not. I would even say enforcement of parking laws on the access road and surrounding areas.
You want to also include the, you know, the membership check at the parking lot in this? So parking's in one thing, or
Yeah, do we pick that up somewhere
what's
else?
the next one?
What's the next one?
The intent of all these are the same, to reduce the amount of use of
Yeah,
the end of the
let's-
pond.
Let's vote on that one separately for the moment. And then maybe when we try to reduce our number of recommendations, kind of in phase 2 here, that might be one, is to combine the two.
Well, you want to enforce parking laws on state road and surrounding areas? Do you want any more definition on the surrounding areas, like residential roads or?
In my initial notes, I wrote surrounding roads, neighborhoods, and other access points. I don't know if we want to say that or just surrounding
No,
areas.
that's good.
All right, so let's say, voting on enforced parking laws on the state access road, surrounding roads, neighborhoods, and other access points. All in favor? All right,
Carl, yes?
Yeah, yep.
And John and Alyssa, no?
all those opposed?
Opposed.
Opposed.
3-2 there.
Mhm.
Number 5. Check the White Pond membership at the parking lot to limit access to state road swimming.
Same intent, you know, trying to limit the amount of parking to just members and.
Yep.
Folks are parking up there and swimming at the state road.
And Melissa, you
Well,
struck that one, is that right?
I did, I mean, I think what the basic difference of opinion we have is I'm trying to increase access to the pond for the benefit of all the people in this town and state, and you're trying to limit it for some reason that I don't understand because it doesn't have anything to do with water quality.
I don't agree with it.
So I'm trying to, I would mind checking White Pond membership at the parking lot because you have people that aren't members, they could extract and, tell them to pay their $5 and come in. But we want to encourage people to use the state beach, the town beach when it's open. And if there's swimming other times, it's not the end of the world.
So let's see, so we're voting on 5, right? So we heard a couple opinions. All right, so all in favor, check by pond membership at parking lot to limit access to state road swimming. All in
Yeah,
favor?
I would be, yep.
All right, all opposed?
Opposed?
3-2. And let's see, number 6. Did you have a markup on? Yes, looks like.
It's a slightly different language. Support improved public outreach, including the addition of permanent assignments, Session Cove, with information about available swimming facilities at the town beach, and the adverse ecological impacts of the destruction of vegetation, including addition of nutrients via human and dog waste, etc. And I also lumped with that the outreach to the abutters, which would be continue to send the homeowner's guide to living near White Pond to new residents on the pond on appropriate care and maintenance of their properties to maintain pond health. For example, the reduced use of fertilizers in addition to plantings. And by grouping them together, what I was trying to do was say what we need to do is public outreach, both to butters on the pond and to other users of the pond.
Okay. I like Alyssa's version. All right, so it's kind of some wordsmithing and then lumping in the homeowner's guide. There's the primary difference.
Oh, looks good. We have examples of signs. I don't know, is there a homeowner's guide already that can be?
There is,
Yes,
yeah.
there's a very well
There is?
developed guide.
Yep.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. Oh, sounds good.
All right, so we'll vote on Alyssa's number 6 version. All those in favor?
Yep.
All right. All opposed? Okay. 5-0 on that one. Number 7, stop stocking rainbow trout due to phytoplankton, potential increase in cyanobacteria blooms. Alyssa struck that.
Yeah, and the reason I did is I think this was originally the idea that the stocking of brown trout was based on an article by Steger et al. That Nancy Leland was involved with on another pond. But in her report on White Pond, where she did an analysis of the trout, the impact of the stocking, she found absolutely no impact on the zooplankton. So there's no reason to stop the the stocking of rainbow trout in White Pond by her analysis.
But didn't the guy that does the APOD say it did impact it?
No.
Yeah, he put in an article on the bridge, and I thought that's what he said to us.
Well, if you read Nancy Leland's report, she clearly said, and she was the person who did this analysis, he's a geochemist, she's the biologist. She said she did an analysis of the fish and its impact on the zooplankton community, and there was no impact. Read the report.
I read his thing, it says something totally different, but
Yes, I've been hearing of reports for years of 2 impacts. One, they tend to not all get fished out and they die and decay in the pond, and two, they do eat the phytoplankton, which has adverse impacts for the cyanobacteria. So,
You mean they eat the zooplankton, right? I mean, it's kind of messed up, that whole idea, because the idea is that the trout eat the zooplankton, so therefore the algae can proliferate, but actually zooplankton discriminate about which algae they eat, and they don't like to eat cyanobacteria. So if you increase the zooplankton, you tend to shift the blooms towards cyanobacteria, and I don't think we want to do that. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I don't know. I mean, you know, it's a complicated issue, but I wouldn't send the town after the state fisheries people to change the situation based on the kind of research that's cited to support this issue.
It's the first I heard that there was anybody disagreed with it, but I don't have an opinion. I mean, based on this on the science that was brought up before. But you're saying the science is not accurate.
Yeah, so
Oh.
you know, it's been one that's been on my radar for years, with a certain understanding, and I have not read the reports that John and Alyssa are mentioning, so
Yeah, well,
I would not be in favor of taking it off, but maybe we say something like continue to investigate the impact of stocking.
no, it was studied. Nancy, the town hired Nancy Leland to study it, and she studied it, and she has a result, a recommendation based on her analysis. It's, you know, I don't know why it's still being discussed.
Okay, it should be a quick investigation then, because you know,
Yeah, if you can send the
I've been
because again, the
hearing-
APOD
Yeah.
guy had it in the bridge.
I've been hearing the opposite for a couple of years now.
Mhm.
So, so rather than have the recommendation be stop the stocking, I think it would be continue to investigate the impact of stocking.
No,
So-
what are you recommending them to do another study, or where?
You
where's the-
hire Leland? I mean, what do you have in mind? We could,
Pull several reports and
No,
see if there are dots.
you have a report that was done by an expert on this pond. What else are you looking for?
And I have other reports that I've heard of that say the exact opposite.
They were on other ponds in other
So-
situations.
In my mind, it's not a settled issue.
report, but yeah, if we can see the report.
You have the report that was, and I can send you a link to it right now. She presented the results to us, one of our first meetings.
Why is the guy from ABOD, I forget his name, why is he recommending it? Why is he recommending that?
All right, so my recommendation here is, let's say, continue to investigate. And in the meantime, Alyssa, if you could send that link, and then from the time we're doing our drafting over the next couple of weeks, we can all review that report and see if that's something we still want to maintain on the list or not. So vote on continue to investigate the impact of stocking of rainbow trout on zooplankton and potential increase in cyanobacteria blooms.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Yeah. I'm
Aye.
sure. And if the report's that conclusive and everybody agrees, and great, we'll take
We'll take
it
it out. All those opposed?
Opposed. So what are we supposed to do? Like get the research papers that
You-
negate it, or what?
I mean, I'll send you the Nancy
on.
Leland.
Well, if you have one
where-
paper you're saying that's conclusive, you know, then we can compare it to, I guess, again, the APOD guy's saying we should do it, so.
What's
Why is he
APAC
saying
got to
that?
do with it?
He's a geochemist. He's not a biologist.
Okay,
He's
and
not
there
a
are past
moron.
reports that have been
right? I mean,
cited.
The guy, this is what he does for a living, so
right,
anyway,
so
enough
that-
on this.
That passed 3-2.
Yep.
So we'll move on to number 8. Update the town website for a simpler White Pond section tying in other White Pond organizations. And Melissa, you had some wordsmithing.
Yeah, just wordsmithing on this, really direct the reorganization of the town's White Pond information into one website with links to other White Pond organizations. Very similar.
Sounds good.
I'm fine with that. So we'll vote on Alyssa's version.
Mhm.
All those in favor?
Yep.
All right.
Right.
All those opposed? Okay, 5-0 on number 8. Number 9. Twice annual meeting of White Pond Task Force or future White Pond team and the Department of Rec to enhance communication of latest developments. Department of Rec and the future White Pond team.
That ties in what if any White Pond thing will continue, but you know, that was a request from Anna, you know, from Department of Rec. And I think at the time I brought it up to the team, everybody thought it was a good idea.
Mhm.
But we may not have a team, I don't know, you know, come till 2024.
Yeah. And so Alyssa, you struck that one. So I would, to me, that's a little bit tactical. So I would say something like continued regular periodic communication between to be determined White Pond team, whatever word we want to use there, and the Department of Recreation and other town departments.
Or
I mean,
you
I
can
don't know why
scratch
we're
and put it in with
prescribing.
the future, you know, task force, one of the responsibilities of the future task force, if you want.
Yeah, why don't we wait till we discuss that? Because
Yeah, I agree. So it's that future White Pond team section that after number 17. Let's.
Okay.
I think this falls into that conversation.
Okay.
Number 10 was provide trash receptacles, portable toilets year round, State Road, Town Beach. And Alyssa, you have some edits on that one.
yeah, for extension of the season for the deployment of trash receptacles and portable toilets at the town beach, we can't, we don't own the state boat ramp, so we can't do anything there. And we also don't, it's not reasonable to assume that trash receptacles and porta potties would exist through the winter at White Pond there, in terms of pickup of and I was gonna say, and so I had mentioned before that for other town parks, the season for trash receptacles is usually somewhere around April 1st or April 15th and November 15th. That may be a more reasonable time frame, but since I didn't want to get into specifics, I just said extend the season.
Yep.
I like that wording.
But yeah, agreed. I like that. Alyssa, so I think about sort of town kind of community areas, right? So you have sort of defined parks, sort of one extreme, Emerson Playground, versus town-owned land with a trailhead.
Those are all
Right.
carry in, carry out according to
Yeah.
the regulations.
Yeah, so I'm sort of so this is sort of somewhere in between, it's not big Emerson Playground. It's, I kind of view it as a little bit more of a town park when the lifeguards are there and a little bit more of a nature area trailhead type setting when lifeguards are not there.
Yes, but I saw that the trash receptacles, the porta potties stayed for quite a bit longer after, the mid-August when the lifeguards leaves, and it was still, the beach was
Yeah.
still heavily used. So
Mhm.
it makes sense to me that
Mhm.
it went, in times when it's heavily used, the season continues, that it's great to have those facilities there.
Yep. Okay. John, you back on?
I am.
Okay.
But I haven't heard what, I cut out for a while. I don't know what happened.
So we're on, we are about to vote on Alyssa's comment on the trash receptacles. So her rewriting of it is
Number 9.
Number 9, support extension of the season for the deployment of trash receptacles and portable toilets at the town beach. So we're about to vote on that. All those in favor? Aye,
Favor, yep,
Okay, I'm an aye on that.
okay, and all opposed? None? All right, number 11, originally written, work with townwide wastewater management plan team for potential sewer upgrades to include White Pond area, particularly the north side inflow area for the pond. And Alyssa, you have right up here.
Yes, support the update of the town-wide wastewater management plan, including a review of the potential for sewer and septic systems on the north side of the pond within 100 feet of the shore. There was a meeting last night, 2 nights ago, where they presented sort of the whole integrated water management study that they want to do for the town of Concord, the DPW did. And they showed their what had been considered in the past for the sewering of package treatment plant for White Pond, and it was both on the north side and the south side of the pond. And now that we have the information that the groundwater is flowing from north to south, we're just encouraging them to look really just at sewering or of the north side of the pond, since sewering of the south side of the pond wouldn't have any effect on the pond itself.
yeah, I think that's the intent of number 11, but whatever verbiage you guys like better.
I think, Melissa's, wording works for me.
Oh, sounds good. So number 11 becomes Alyssa's number 7, even, right?
I thought it was for number
10.
10.
10,
Yeah, number 10 on the original list.
10.
But we're going to, so we're gonna vote on Alyssa's language.
Mhm.
Melissa's 10.
So support the update of the townwide wastewater management plan, including a review of the potential for sewering septic systems on the north side of the pond. Are we okay with taking out the 100-foot? I would rather, I'd rather keep it a little more general.
I'd be okay with that. Just.
I mean, for my expertise, I'd say that if you make it general, and they have a tendency to make big systems, which costs a lot of money, and then they never get done. So I don't think it's necessary. Got a lot of expertise in this area, and it's probably going to be ignored anyway. But it would be nice if we limited it to those systems that actually would matter.
I guess I'm just thinking, is there a fixed cost for putting in the system and expanding the geography a little bit? Might be a small incremental cost. And so a question to you, John.
What was the question?
I'm kind of thinking sort of not limiting it. So, is there some large fixed cost regardless of the population size that's required just to put in sort of the infrastructure for something like this? And expanding the geography a little bit would maybe just have a small incremental cost. Is that
I think if we're talking about a package plant, the smaller the number involved, the less it would cost. I've seen that, so that's my idea, that if you sewer the whole area and pipe it down to the sewage treatment plant, that's a different operation. I think they should keep away from that. I think they should just have the systems that are bad and use a package plant to deal with it.
Also, just occurred to me that if you open up a larger area to sewering, you're going to open up a much larger area for development as well, since the placement of the septic systems is one of the most limiting factors around the pond for development.
Yep.
I'm okay with either wording.
Yeah, I think you sort of have that word potential in there. It's got a little bit of a hedge built into it already. Yeah, I'm okay with Alyssa's wording.
Sounds good.
Alright, should we vote on Alyssa's? All in favor?
Yep.
Alright,
Aye.
all opposed? Alright, number 12, work with the state to prevent erosion to the northwest of the state boat ramp. Shoreline plantings have been trampled and destroyed where swimmers have set up towels.
My version of that is my number 2, I guess, just support continued maintenance of erosion controls on town-owned lands, including installation of new plantings as appropriate. I think if you put plantings on that parcel, opposite this beach from the town, beach, opposite, they're just gonna continue to get trampled right at the moment. So I think we're looking at perhaps other controls, but I think, certainly the more plantings we can get in general, the better. Where they should be done, I think would require some thought.
I am in agreement with Alyssa's comment.
I'm okay with deleting number 12.
Yeah, so Alyssa, your number 2 is a new number 2 though, right? It wasn't a rewrite of something, is that right?
Kind of a rewrite of this.
Yeah, of this one, but not a prior number 2. It's of this, okay. Yeah, so this, Alyssa's number 2 becomes our number 12.
You know, plantings that are close to the pond, if they're native plants and they don't require fertilizer to get them started, they're okay. But if they do require fertilizer, it's really a bad idea. So I wonder if we could just put in, native plants. I don't know, somehow like don't put in fertilizer, guys, but they always do. Landscapers always do.
Right, but
I
this is
think-
on the town-owned lands. This is just, we're just talking about the town-owned lands on this. I was just talking about the town-owned lands. And the town's not gonna put in anything besides native plantings.
They might
That's
very
fine.
well put in a bunch of fertilizer. And that's the way that beach happened. You put in the hydro seeding and everything.
All right, why don't we add the word native?
Yeah,
New
installation
native
of
plantings.
new native plantings as appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, all in favor? Aye.
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 Yep.
All opposed? All right. Number 13, enforce and educate. So we have already voted on Alyssa's rewording that incorporates this one. So I think we have this concept captured already.
I agree.
Sounds good.
Number 14, support funding of the DPW for maintenance of the state boat ramp.
I forget where that came from, but I think the intent there was the, I call them like mini septic systems, whatever, for the drainage that needs maintenance. For the runoff.
That's the catch basins, Alyssa, is that right?
Oh, yeah, well, this is at the state boat ramp, and did I, I mean, did I add that? I mean, yeah, we should, where this came about is that, this DPW was not even aware that they were the responsible party for maintenance of the state boat ramp. Now they are knowledgeable that they are supposed to be people doing it, and it's not in their current budget. All these things take money, so just we want to support the funding for maintenance of it in addition to their other responsibilities.
So
All in,
did you add that? Is that one of your numbers? I don't think I
I
see
don't
it.
think I did. It was, cause it just seemed like, yeah, I've got no problem with adding it. I didn't mean to delete it per se.
mhm.
Just wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, okay, so let's vote on it, and then as we start to try to prioritize, maybe this is one that slides towards the bottom, we'll see. Okay, so number 14, support funding of the DPW for maintenance of the state boat ramp, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed, 0, okay. Number 15, do not add additional boating options such as kayak rentals to town beach. Was that
That,
deleted?
that was something that the Department of Recreation was talking about. They're not doing it, but when I brought up the conversation with the Department of Recreation, there are folks that were not thrilled with that idea.
Yeah, and as I said, it's a great pond. It's available for boating, and I think we want to increase access to the pond. We want people to get on the pond and enjoy it. So I don't know why we would not let people don't have boats, not have that option, whereas if you have any kind of sup or kayak of your own, you can take it down to the state boat ramp and put it in. So it's almost discriminating against people that don't have access to their own boats.
Yeah, I'd say I don't know, it doesn't hit high priority for me, and if, it could be, if you think about health of the pond, it could even be better if it was a town-run thing with boats that are down there as opposed to people bringing in boats from but that have been in other bodies of water, that you can get that, bringing in invasive plant species and things like that on certain boats, so. I don't know, not a high priority item for me.
No, me neither. I don't, we can eliminate it if that's what we want to do.
All right,
I'm
so,
okay with deleting it as well.
okay, so let's take a vote on it. All in favor?
Of deleting it, yep.
Of deleting
Yep.
it.
All opposed, or I guess, yeah, all in favor of deleting it.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right,
John?
I'm in favor of deleting it.
Oh,
number 16, support the transfer of the town of Concord reservation land at Sachem's Cove to the Conservation Commission. Melissa, you had that one crossed out.
Well, I had put that in originally, and I still think it's a good idea, and I know it would be supported by the Conservation Department. It's a little cleaner over the management of it. The reason I took it back out is only because it sort of hadn't been vetted by the committee as a whole. There is a potential for other uses of that parcel in the future, so I just, in terms of recommendations, I think we should either discuss it further or not discuss it. Or not it.
Yeah, I would delete it personally. I don't know if anybody else has any comments on it, or if we should.
I'm okay with deleting it.
Yeah, I am too. Yeah.
Let's delete it.
Okay,
Is that all five?
yep. And 17, continue to offer fishing access at State Road for White Pond's Great Pond status.
I don't think we can eliminate that, so that's not even an option, I don't believe. But unless I'm wrong.
I would agree with Carl that it's that's owned by the state, and the town doesn't have the right to shut it down in any way.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I think we can just stay silent on it, and then it'll continue as is. So all in favor of deleting it?
Yep.
Right.
John?
What happened? What happened?
Hey, John.
We were just deleting number 17 on Carl's list.
Not because we disagree, but just that
You got two windows, so you're
Give it.
echoing. You can mute one of them.
Did it go away?
Yep.
Okay,
Good.
yeah, I don't know what happened. What was it again? Which number?
17 on the original list. So we're all sort of
Oh yeah, we can do, you wanted to.
in favor of it, but we're fine with deleting it and just staying silent on it.
Okay. That's cool.
Okay. Okay. So last one, future White Pond team. White Pond Advocacy Group, structure to be determined, to meet quarterly as a coordinating body with the goal of continuing our White Pond Task Force mission. Potential team tasks may include water quality testing, updating septic system database, mapping and maintaining storm drains on private ways, and such other projects as they feel appropriate. And Alyssa, you have a rework on this one.
Yeah, my rework is to encourage citizen stewardship of the pond, including expanded outreach to abutters on appropriate care and maintenance of their properties. The continued water quality testing that was done by citizens in the past. Updating the septic system database that Jane Prentice's group have been doing, and mapping and maintaining storm drains on private ways, and such other projects as people come up. And the reason I say this is because historically, when you look at the ponderings that of the White Pond, Friends of White Pond, they put out from 1986 through 2005 or so. When you look at the history of water quality testing that was done by Walker, and then the Sprotts and other members of the community, there was used to be considerable, and also that history of White Pond by Marolette or something that it's called. There's a tradition of very active citizen stewardship of the pond, and that's died out over time. And it's really a shame, for example, that the water quality testing that was done of the temperature DO and Secchi disc has not been continued, because that's really the best indicator of the water quality of the pond. And I think if people really are concerned about the pond, that they should be stewards of it. And I think what we've seen is when there's issues, people come up and organize and do something about it, similar to maybe what Friends of Warner's Pond are doing now. But I think, I always go back to JFK's, it's not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. It's like, if you're concerned, stand up and do something about it, and I think, we had that Friends of White Pond meeting where we had 2 people on it, because there's nothing that people are concerned about at the moment. So rather than a select board committee full of people who aren't going to show up to meetings unless there's something serious going on, have the abutters and other people who are active users of the pond do a better job of taking care of it themselves.
So I guess the only thing is it's proactive versus reactive. I agree. I mean, the Friends of White Pond get very excited when there's blooms, and when there's nothing's going on, like that meeting, Melissa, you and I attended. I mean, that's the question, is proactive stuff again, like, making sure the state roads maintained with the with a runoff, making sure the APOD continues to get funded, all the things we talked about. It's not like an intense thing, but I feel like White Pond should be represented, on the wastewater planning. What is that group or individual that I don't know. I'm open to.
Well, I think well, one, this is going to the select board and they can do what they want with it. But I mean, it's a DPW responsibility. If it's, if people on the pond see that there's accumulations of sediment in the trench drains, you can contact DPW and say, when are you going to maintain it? You've got an O&M plan that says you're going to do this. But, people can do this. And if you're living there or using the pond, you should take responsibility. The same way that, I mean, there is no other friends group. There is no other group that, like the White Pond Advisory Group. There's a Friends of Haywood Meadow. There's a Friends of Warner's Pond. There's citizen active groups who take on things. And as I said, in the past, there has been a very active citizen participation in the pond, and it just seems to have died out over time.
Thank you for that, Alyssa. So I think my point of view is having some sort of an advocacy group that does sort of act as eyes and ears for the select board. I think is critically important, and to use Carl's words, that proactive versus reactive. So the frequency of the meetings, I think that's certainly up for debate. How often does it need to happen? But I think having sort of a group of citizens that are proactively sort of observing, watching, looking for things, to get ahead of these things, as opposed to when it becomes a crisis, I think is critically important. I think having sort of cross-town representation on that body is also important, particularly now that it's it's a town beach and not a local private beach.
Yeah,
I
I don't
agree.
know, I mean, maybe you guys have experience, like how the board looks at this, like, this is more of an interaction with them and a discussion with them than a recommendation. They may have firm feelings on, this may be analogous to other assets in the town, how they manage them, how they, continue to have, proactively react to problems, but I don't know, it could be even just an annual review with the board or something. I don't know, there may be other venues, I guess, is what I'm saying, than just a.
And I think, right, and also, the town departments are, those are town employees, and employees come and go. So I think having sort of this body of made up of residents, I think can to provide some continuity and some historical knowledge, some institutional knowledge that can be, as those interactions continue with the town departments, and sort of pass on sort of lessons learned from the past.
And I think they do. I think when people, I mean, when there's an issue, people are bringing it to their attention. And
No,
when
I
they're-
agree. I think, primarily the issue's been the blooms, but that's just the question, do we wait till, I mean, it sounds silly right now, but 5 years from now, people might not remember they need APODs. Right now, it seems obvious to us, but
Well, they
there's
may
no
not. I
institutional
mean, if we
memory.
go, if we continue going the way it's going with the water quality, the way it's been, there may not be any need for it.
Okay, any other comments on this?
I think I would like to see a continued, board or, committee that's through the town. Because it's the only kettle pond in town, it's unique, and as Carl said, if people forget what work we're doing now, in a few years could be forgotten about, and I think we're better to be proactive and forward thinking than wait for something to go wrong. So I would like to see I would recommend an official body of some sort continue, not just a friends group. That's my
Okay.
opinion.
Okay, so I think, here's my thought. So we take it as written, White Pond Advocacy Group, structure to be determined, and I would say to meet periodically as opposed to quarterly. Because I don't know if quarterly is the right cadence or not. When there are certain things going on, it probably is, and other times it's probably, sometimes it's probably not enough, and sometimes it's probably overkill. So I would say periodically, as a coordinating body with the goal of continuing White Pond Task Force mission. And then under potential team tasks, here I would add in, as one of those tasks is encouraging citizen stewardship of the pond, Alyssa's point. So I would take that phrase and put that in here as well as one of the potential tasks. So it's a advocacy group that one of the things they are doing is encouraging citizen stewardship, as well as these other things that we have listed.
Well,
That would be
the White Pond Advisory Group, as it exists, was not doing any of those things that are mentioned there. You can say that rather take out all of those things. What you're saying is take out all those things, because that's not what the White Pond Advisory Group was doing, or will probably likely be doing. They're not going to be doing water quality testing unless someone steps up to do it on their own.
Yeah, I think you have point there. I think these aren't necessarily tasks, but I think these aren't necessarily tasks for the folks sitting on this advocacy group.
Exactly.
But overseeing that, making sure that stuff is happening, I think is, so whether or not they're actually doing it, I think they sort of have these are things that they want to see continue to take place. And how that gets done, maybe through citizen stewardship or town employees on some of these, or however it is.
Well, none of those are being done by the town or will be done by the town. Unless you're specifically directing them to. They are not doing water quality testing other than what's required by the board, for the health, the safety reasons. They're not updating the septic system database. They're not mapping and they can't do any work on the private ways. So none of those tasks are tasks that can or will be done by the town.
Mhm. So I think the
So
encouragement
maybe
of
the word
citizen.
task we take out and put in potential team, I don't know, topics, or that's too weak.
I kind
recommendations.
of like that. Yeah, potential team topics, it's something like that. But how it gets done is that's sort of tactical. But these are things sort of on the mind, and encouraging citizen stewardship of the pond is one of those, and that may cover how some of these things get done.
So what would the wording be here?
That would be White Pond Advocacy Group structure TBD to meet periodically as a coordinating body with the goal of continuing our White Pond Task Force mission. Potential team topics may include encouragement of a citizen stewardship of the pond, and then the list that we have here.
So I'm still hung up on this. So they may include citizen stewardship of the pond. And then these other things, because these other things are not going to be done. I mean, they can't be done by the town. I'm still hung up on the wording here a little bit. I don't understand what you're trying to say.
I guess these are topics that may be reviewed. How they get implemented. I mean, some of these, to be determined. Like again, like you said, clean out the sediments or whatever of the state road. Maybe that's state. I don't know.
That's different. That's a town. That's going to happen. But on like maintaining storm on the private ways, DPW can't do that. They don't have the legal authority to do the work on private ways. So that can't happen.
So I'm actually fine with just keeping the first sentence, because maybe we call it continuing our White Pond Task Force charge and mission, right? Because within the mission of the White Pond Task Force and the charge of the White Pond Task Force, there are certain things under that.
Mhm.
And so just leave it at that, yeah, we think there should be an advocacy group, and they should meet periodically. And we think, there being, soliciting the voice of the residents is one of those things, and bringing that back to the select board.
So just that first sentence changing quarterly to periodically, and then that's all we say?
And I would probably put in the word charge and mission.
To continuing our White Pond Task Force charge and mission? Okay,
I think so.
all right, that I can work with that.
So with it maybe we are saying the same thing. A White Pond Advisory Committee is not necessarily a select board appointed committee. It's a committee. It's an advocacy group.
I think it should be select board. It should report to the select board.
So
I
should we
think
put that in
I
reporting
think it
to
should
the
be
select board?
I think it should be a town committee.
I do too, so it doesn't fall through the cracks.
Think the Friends of Warner's Pond is falling through the cracks?
I think they're in a
Their
pretty
main
reactive
concern now
spot.
is they have a decisions to make, so they basically didn't exist till recently, right? Anyway,
John or Jennifer, do you want to change rather than advocacy group, call it a White Pond Town Committee?
Sure.
To meet periodically. Goal of continuing our White Pond Task Force charge and mission. One sentence.
Yeah.
Should we, any final comments or should we vote on that?
Say it one more time, please.
A White Pond Town Committee structure to be determined to meet periodically as a coordinating body with the goal of continuing our White Pond Task Force charge and mission.
That works.
good.
All those in favor? Aye.
I
All those
Opposed.
opposed?
Opposed.
And John, you were in favor?
Yeah.
4-1.
Okay.
Okay. Um. So I guess two choices right now. We could go back through, try to prioritize and trim the list. Or we could sort of take the list of ones that passed and kind of digest that for a bit.
I'll go for plan two because there's a lot of changes here, which is all good, but maybe we should get it done on a piece of paper and review it. But I mean, but Evan, what do you think? You're thinking 5 or 7 kind of thing?
Initially, that's what I was thinking, but some of these are pretty quick. And again, I think once we sort of see what we came up with, I agree with you, Carl. I'd like to kind of see it on a piece of paper before I try to start shuffling things around and if I want to cut anything. So I agree with you on that.
Jennifer, you're taking notes, but I'm happy to revise my document to send to you if you want. And then you can check mine. I can check yours to make sure we caught all this. That sounds good, or?
Sure.
Yeah. So that sound like a plan for everybody?
Yeah, should we find another date to meet? I don't know,
Well, I mean, Evan, what exactly are we sending to the board? We're sending this with just an introductory kind of summary of our year's activities, or I mean, what exactly is the format of the report? Or
Yeah, I think so. And I think there could be some kind of some potentially, and again, I want to see sort of what list we finally come up with. But I could see a scenario where there's some sub bullets needed, some sort of clarification. Here's a recommendation. Here's sort of what we mean by that. So we can have a nice succinct executive summary with a handful of recommendations, and then maybe some sort of clarification and some context around some of that as sort of supporting narrative.
Oh, there was well, a couple of things. One, that I modified your mission statement a little bit, Carl, and we should look at that. And the second is, Jennifer, I know you had volunteered very nicely to write an intro at some point, and I didn't know, have you had a chance to do that?
I have a couple of paragraphs. It needs work, and I can, now that we have this is gelled, I'll take another stab at it and circulate it. I can get that out by Monday. Unless somebody else would prefer to take it.
that's great that you're doing it.
Okay, so Monday I will
Yeah, thank you.
circulate introduction and for comment. Um,
And also, again, I'll send you my updated document with all the changes that I perceived, and I'm sure I'm missing something, but maybe with your notes you can compare. and take a look.
okay.
All
So
right,
do
I
we
did,
need
I
to
did just
meet?
mention the mission statement, the wording of that, just while we're going over things.
I liked Alyssa's wording.
So,
I'm good with that. Everybody see that?
well, sounds good.
All right.
Because I mean, I'm looking at, we took a few out here. So probably down to like 12 or something. I don't know exactly, but anyway, we'll get it on paper and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's right.
So do we need to meet again
Yes,
to review the introduction and to review the edited list? And if so, when should we do that?
I think sooner rather than later. I mean, I don't think it'll take long to do this if you have this on Monday and the recommendations are going on. So we could even try something like next week.
Yeah. I mean, you want to just do it next week, same time on Thursday or the 14th?
Tuesday or Wednesday would be better for me. Something happen on Thursday.
Okay. I can do either.
I kind of have not a great week next week.
Holidays, you know.
Okay, works for me.
But let me just see if I can. So Tuesday, we're thinking.
Tuesday
I
the
could do
12th.
Tuesday, yeah.
I can even, if I can at least call in. Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, Tuesday or Wednesday, either one I can do.
I would say Tuesday for me, and earlier the better.
6 o'clock.
6 should be good. There it is. Yep, 6 o'clock's great for me.
I can do that.
You want to do an hour or what do you think?
Yeah, why don't we schedule 1 hour but hopefully it's a lot shorter.
Okay, so that's the 12th at 6. Okay. Great.
And Evan, what do we need to do to the town? How do you register with the town or whatever?
Yeah, so I gotta get the agenda in tomorrow so they can post it.
Okay.
2 business days in advance.
Thank you, Evan.
Yep, will do.
Cool. All right.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Appreciate
Bye.
everybody's thoughts. Thanks all.
Night.